Hey, and what's up, gang? Thank you once again for joining me right here on the channel. Today, we have got some breaking news on the NXT title match that was called off by a referee at the Download Festival yesterday. In the UK, we also have the rumored reason why John Cena will be returning to SmackDown this July 4th, and the rivalry between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo certainly starts to heat up. All that and today in pro wrestling history and so much more right here, right now on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you once again for tuning in. Welcome to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. I am your host, as always, Nick Nightmare, and we've got some good breaking news coming down the line tonight. We are going to talk about all that in just a moment, but we are going to start off today talking about House of Glory Pro Wrestling. As I said at the close of the last video, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch the last video. It was a very good one. I have been actively pursuing a career in the world of professional wrestling, and I have set my sights on House of Glory Pro Wrestling. I am trying to get my foot in the door, and I am doing my part to promote this promotion because I believe that what they are doing is very, very special. Their style of pro wrestling is fantastic. Their presentation is great. I love every minute that I was at their shows, and there are 2 more shows coming up, and that's what we are going to talk about right now. House of Glory presents Never Trust a Snake this July 1st at the historic Elks Lodge in Elmhurst, Queens. If you live in and around the New York City area and you can get to Queens on that holiday weekend, I know it might be tough because it's 4th of July weekend and people might be partying and whatever, but if you can get there, I'm going to be there. Come on down, say hello, buy me a beer, hang out at the historic Elks Lodge. ECW's hallowed ground, man. There has been some great historic ECW moments that have happened there. It is a mecca of pro wrestling on the independent scene. I look forward to being there and meeting Jake the Snake Roberts. It's going to be a great show. I look forward to seeing any of you there. And if I don't see you there, you have another chance because August the 18th, House of Glory presents High Intensity 6, their 6th year anniversary show live from the NYC Arena in Jamaica, Queens. Once again, if you can make it, please come down because you are going to get a chance to meet another WWE Hall of Famer, Bret the Hitman Hart. Going to be there live, doing meet and greets for you before the show. Come take advantage of that situation. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. August 18th, the night before NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Make your weekend as epic as mine is going to be that weekend. SummerSlam weekend. It's all about wrestling. Let's support indie wrestling. Get your asses down to House of Glory. I hope to see you there. Like I said, come on down, buy me a beer, we'll shoot the shit. You get to know me. I'll be easy to find. I'll be wearing the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show t-shirt, nice and bright white, standing out in the crowd. I will be front row at the Never Trust a Snake show. I will be second row at High Intensity 6. I hope to see you guys there. Once again, if anybody from House of Glory is watching this, please get back to me, man. I am going to keep on coming until you break and let me inside those walls of that school and we can start something special. I guarantee it. Now that that's over, thank you for indulging me in all of that. Let's get to the news. And we're going to start off today with John Cena. The impossibly strong, the incredibly great, the poster boy for the American way, John Cena. Vince McMahon has reached out to his golden boy to come back and save SmackDown Live from poor ratings performance. And essentially, what's being rumored is that he's coming in to face and defeat Jinder Mahal for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. This is a terrible idea because I am not one to be supporting Jinder Mahal at all. I applaud them for trying something different. It's not the right guy to be trying something different with. I am not for a perennial jobber being the World Heavyweight Champion without establishing himself as a credible force first. That's not what I'm about. I don't enjoy that, and I'm not going to get behind that. But you went this way and you did it. It's obviously not working. The India deal is not as prosperous as I guess they believed it was going to be, so they're going to pull the trigger on this already, and they're going to give it back to John Cena instead of giving it to somebody else on the roster who's much more deserving. Perhaps you get the face of America, Kevin Owens. I know they're both heels right now, but if you can't look me in the eyes and tell me that Kevin Owens, he would come out to beat Jinder Mahal, receive a hero's ovation because he would have beaten Jinder Mahal. But essentially all you've done is change characters because Kevin Owens is a heel and he's not even American, he's Canadian, so he could still perform in the same vein as Jinder Mahal and do it a bazillion times better. And the very next time you see his face on Tuesday, he will be able to turn the crowd against him quicker than a hiccup, just like that. That's the kind of thing that I think about. That's what I would do to get the title off of Jinder Mahal. I wouldn't be relying on an old standby, a part-time guy now, even if it is John Cena, the ultimate male. Forget it. It's garbage. It's not good TV. It's not best for business. It's not creative, and it's absolutely lacking for me. If that's in fact the direction that they are going to go, it is fucking terrible. And I do not want to see it. I just don't. It makes absolutely no sense to do it. What is this, fucking 2007? We just had Randy Orton as the champion. You're going to give it to some transitional guy and then hop it back right to John Cena without having Cena face Orton directly, which thank God they didn't do that because I don't want to see that again either. But come on. That's so 10 years ago, man. Let's start doing different things. Let's make new superstars. What the fuck, man? Terrible. I'm not buying it at all. Let's move on to news about NXT. There was an NXT championship match, a women's championship match, that was called off by the referee just yesterday at the Download Festival in the UK. Let's talk about that right now. A matchup between Ruby Riott and Asuka at the Download Music Festival yesterday in the UK had to be stopped by the referee after Ruby Riott was injured. Ruby Riott explained in a Facebook live chat with Kayla Braxton, I don't know who the hell that is, that the bout had to be stopped when she was busted open after hitting steel steps. Riott added she needed 5 stitches following the matchup. That's pretty substantial cut then. Riott then added she thought that Asuka would go into the match playing fair, but she decided to ram her head into the steel steps instead, and this is something that she will use to her advantage in the future when battling against Asuka. This is just goes to show you just how legit Asuka is. There is nobody on that roster right now that could handle her. Things like this, I mean, the injuries are going around here and there. This is minor as it goes, but listen, Asuka is strong style. Asuka is going to hit you and it's going to hurt. Asuka is going to ram your head into the steel steps and you are going to get busted open. Ruby Riott knows this. She didn't think Asuka was going to go there, but she did. This is a match we're probably never going to see any footage of, so I can only imagine what it looked like. Maybe we can get some kind of fan footage on YouTube at some point, or some pictures I'm sure will turn up and surface at some point. And Ruby Riott can go. She's a very decent talent. She's a little hard on the eyes for me. I don't know about you. I mean, that might be your thing. You might have a strange fetish for pigeons that, And that's fine with that, if that's your thing. That's you. You know, people like different things, and it's okay. You know, you might like pigeons. You might find them attractive. In which case, this is the perfect woman for you. Just not really my cup of tea. But how she looks doesn't make a difference, because the girl can wrestle. She's very, very good, and I predict big things in the future for Miss Ruby Riott. I just know for a fact that she for sure is not going to be the one to unseat the Empress of Tomorrow. Just not going to happen. But hopefully, you know, those stitches heal up quick. She probably won't miss any time, and she'll get right back to it, because that's what wrestling's all about. She's not going to let this stop her. And we're going to move on from that story to our main story of the evening, which is Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. This has been going on for a couple of days, and it's just starting to heat up as Vince Russo decides to fire back in the war of words on their respective podcasts or YouTube channels or wherever this is really going down. But the rivalry between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo just escalated, because the former wrestling manager has challenged the controversial writer to an actual fight with some stipulations. Jim Cornette and Vince Russo have hated each other for years, but things heated up again after Jim and Eric Bischoff bashed Vince on a recent episode of Table for Three, now available on the WWE Network, causing all sides to start hurling insults. Things got taken to a new level, though, on a most recent episode of the Jim Cornette Experience, when the host went on a 10-minute expletive-filled rant to outline his offer. And I quote, "But here's the rules," says Cornette. "No cops, no guns, no knives. We both come alone, and what happens, happens. Nobody makes a dime off it. Nobody gets any publicity off it. Nobody's even going to know it's going to happen until after it happens, when nobody hears from you anymore." Pretty cryptic and pretty nasty words by Jim Cornette there. He also added that he will bring $5,000, and if Vince can take it from him, he can keep it. Now that's pretty extreme. Jim Cornette's known to go off the handle, one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time. You know, some people are just born to do what they do. You know, John Cena was obviously born and made to be a professional wrestler, sports entertainer. I wouldn't call him a wrestler. He's a sports entertainer. He's a genetic prototype of a sports entertainer. How built from the ground up, that's what it would look like. Guys like Hulk Hogan were born to be in this industry. Jim Cornette was born for pro wrestling. He is one of the top 5 wrestling talkers of all time, and as far as managers go, it's no contest. And if you had to give me personally a choice between Vince Russo and Jim Cornette on my creative team, I'm going Cornette 9 times out of 10, because Vince Russo is not only a jerk-off, he is an embellisher. You know, he had a very small part to play in the rise of the Attitude Era and the explosion of stars like Steve Austin and DX and things like that. He was just a minor footnote in the creative aspects of the company at the time. This is the same guy that came up with a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. The same guy that did that bogus Bash at the Beach screw job on Hulk Hogan with Jeff Jarrett. When his creative mind is not being reined in by somebody above him with ultimate power, he's a waste. Sure, he's got some good ideas, and I'm sure his contributions were significant, but I'm also almost positive that they were tweaked in some way by Vince McMahon at the end of the day, or Dixie Carter, or whoever it was that was calling the shots as his boss at the time. Russo comes out today and pretty much highlights the fact why Cornette wants to kick his ass, showing you just how much of a smug piece of trash he is, because he facetiously apologizes to Jim Cornette. And the article, when I was reading this thing, it's friggin' huge. And we're not going to read the whole thing. I just took one paragraph out to highlight to you guys what kind of a douche Vince Russo actually is. Meatball of the week. The meatball of the week. The meatball of the week. Of the week. Of the week. Huh! This is just the very end of what Russo had to say in reply to Cornette's off-the-handle, off-the-wall kind of, inappropriate challenge and rant against him, be that as it may. Here's what this guy had to say. Jim Cornette, I apologize. I apologize for a lot of things. And here's where he becomes a douche, instead of just legitimately taking this and trying to squash this off the bat. First and foremost, I wanted to apologize for you blowing out your knees and falling off the scaffold because you are a mark who didn't know how to take a bump. I want to apologize for you putting Smoky Mountain Wrestling out of business. I want to apologize, Jim, for you being fired from Ring of Honor for a public and emotional outburst. I want to apologize, Jim, for being fired by the WWE for assaulting another employee. I want to apologize, Jim, because I'm from New York. And I'm ashamed to say that you're from New York because you give us a bad name, jerk-off. And it's rants like this that prove just everything that I'm saying about you is right. Never mind what Cornette's saying about you. I want to apologize, Jim, because in my entire life I was never fixed to do anything. I want to apologize, Jim, that I don't believe the Dukes of Hazzard is a reality show. Douche. I want to apologize, Jim, that I never went on a national television show dressed like the village idiot. I want to apologize that I never asked a wrestler to chew an Alka-Seltzer so it could appear to be that he was foaming from the mouth. I want to apologize that even the great Terry Funk didn't get over when you had him come out of a box. But Jim, perhaps the two most important things I want to apologize for is setting the ratings record at both WWE and TNA, and also raising the ratings in WCW the whole 9 months that I was there. That's a fucking bold-faced lie. Bold-faced lie. I sincerely apologize for that. And last but not least, Jim, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize for both Dixie Carter and Vincent Kennedy McMahon choosing me over you. Because at the end of the day, 18 years later, that's what this is all about. It sticks in your craw because no matter what you do or say, no matter what asinine promo you cut, it does not go away. From a creative standpoint, the numbers clearly dictate I was better than you. And I know that's hard for you to accept and hard for you to deal with. So that's why from the bottom of my heart, I apologize. I am sorry, and I hope from this point we can move forward. With that being said, I hope you will take this apology, relax, sit back. I would say grab a cold one, but I know you don't drink. So maybe eat a sandwich, maybe an ice cream, a piece of fruit, an apple, an orange. Maybe enjoy a banana. But relax, accept this apology, and let's move on. How could you possibly move on after a retarded rant like that? And that's just the tail end of it. He goes on and on and on and tears this guy up. And then at the very end, he's like, oh, I'm really sorry. Let's just forget it and move on. What a dick, man. Vince Russo will not go away. He's like a fissure, a boil on your ass that you just can't get rid of. Or on your lower back, or on your face, or wherever it is, but it's in your way, and you see it, and you feel it, and it hurts every time you see it, and every time it's even near you. Vince Russo, I just don't know what to think about this guy. I never was really big on him during his heyday when he was doing all this on his own, apparently. The man's delusional. And his success, although it is there, is not as great as he thinks it is. And we all need to move on from Vince Russo. Now, I've seen him on, What Culture's channel, and, he at arm's length, he seems like he may be a nice guy. And I apologize for being so negative about him right now, and I am genuine about that. But when I read this kind of a statement from the guy, I just can't help but think that he's not being genuine at all, and he's taking more shots at Cornette, and this isn't over. I'm sure Cornette's going to have something to say about it, and we will talk about that here, just like we always do, right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. And without further ado, let's get to today in pro wrestling history. Today is June the 10th, 2017, and 20 years ago today on WCW Nitro, in an event that had absolutely nothing to do with Vince Russo, Kevin Nash makes his return to WCW as Scott Hall's big surprise just before the formation of the New World Order. Nash was last seen in the WWF as Big Daddy Cool Diesel. To say that he had a pretty fruitful 3 years there would be an understatement. This is true. On his debut night, he helped Shawn Michaels regain the WWF Intercontinental Championship, and within 18 months, he would hold every championship possible in the WWF, capping it off with a record-breaking 8-second win over Bob Backlund for the WWF Championship 2 days after the 1994 Survivor Series, which I was there. I was there for that moment. I was in the garden when that went down. Kevin Nash would go on to hold that championship for the next 358 days, the longest reigning champion of the 1990s. What a moment that was. I will never forget when I seen Kevin Nash walk out on that stage and cut that promo. It was so intriguing, and we had no idea what we were in store for. And once again, if they were properly booked by somebody that knew what they were actually doing. And Bischoff did a great job. He did the best he could with all the egos involved. And it was kind of like playing with dynamite every Monday night. And he didn't know what was going to explode on him. And I'm sure it couldn't have been easy on him, which is what probably led to his departure in the end. But what was being formed on this day, 20 years ago, was about to set the wrestling world on its end, and history speaks for itself. It was absolutely fantastic. One of the greatest moments and one of the greatest periods of wrestling to ever happen came right after this very moment. And one more little bonus for today in pro wrestling history, since this is also a significant moment, something else that Vince Russo had absolutely nothing to do with. 14 years ago today, Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out on a Raw taping in Atlanta and flew back to San Antonio with his wife, Deborah, taking his ball and going home with it, as they were so quick to keep saying about him at the time. Austin, originally scheduled to face Brock Lesnar on the show, made the call on the morning of the show to walk out after being contacted by WWE management about the booking plans. Austin said him losing to Lesnar with no prior build-up didn't make any sense from a business standpoint. The man was right. Austin's walkout caused a major rewrite to the show, since the focus was on Ric Flair becoming Austin's personal assistant for a month. The biggest change involved Vince McMahon inexplicably regaining 100% control of the WWE from Ric Flair after winning a no-holds-barred match in the show's main event. As it turned out, it was Austin's second walkout on the WWE with no permission or notice in 3 months, and Austin would be fired just 3 days later. Here are the full results from that card, because they are quite interesting. The NWO, once again, making news today on this date, but in an incarnation that is unfamiliar to many. It was Booker T, The Big Show, and X-Pac representing the New World Order this night on WWE TV, and they defeated Shawn Stasiak, Spike Dudley, and Tommy Dreamer. That's a trio that anybody, I could probably defeat them, except for maybe Tommy Dreamer. William Regal, one of my personal all-time favorite wrestlers ever, defeated JBL, before he was JBL, Bradshaw, to retain the WWE European Championship. Molly Holly defeated Trish Stratus. Rob Van Dam defeated Eddie Guerrero, and Brock Lesnar defeated Bubba Ray Dudley in King of the Ring qualifying matches, because that's what should be happening right now. It is June, and we should be gearing up and getting ready to go for the King of the Ring, but instead, we're getting Great Balls of Fire. We're going to talk about that real quick coming up to close the show. And finally, in the main event of that match, as we just talked about, Vince McMahon defeated Ric Flair in a no-holds-barred match to become the the 100% owner and number one guy in the WWE. Now, getting back to Great Balls of Fire, WWE has apparently seen and felt the drawbacks of the community tearing apart Great Balls of Fire's logo, as I did on my videos as well. I mean, because clearly it was a flaming shaft. Take a look at it. This was the logo. It looks like balls right? Flaming balls. That's what you got. The emphasis is on these two giant globes over here, right? Balls. So they clearly took note of this and seen the backlash and changed the logo to this, in which the first thing your eyes see are not actual balls, but the word balls. Essentially changing absolutely nothing, because the logo's emphasis is on the word balls. Not on the word great, not on the word fire, on the word balls, because that's what's important here. And that's how we are going to end today's show. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. If you stayed this far, don't forget to leave a comment below, smash that like button while you're down there, and leave the hashtag balls down there. I want to see everybody. Hashtag balls. And that means you watched all the way down to the end. And don't forget to leave any comment you would like to leave along with your little hashtag balls in memory of the logo changing for Great Balls of Fire tonight. Also, congratulations to Matt and Rebby Hardy on the birth of their second child today. And with that, we are going to bid you a wonderful good night. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you all for subscribing and for being a part of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show and Sledgehammer TV. I am Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball microphone, and we are out of here. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.